pendulum is in fact pushing back and moving me
Guys,
too.
this is 6th grade
And
physics.
here's the wild part. Because the clock is securely attached to the beam, that beam acts just a tiny
Everybody
bit like
learn
the
it in school.
skateboard. So those swinging pendulums are ever so slightly actually moving the wall. So that means as the clocks are just slightly pushing back and nudging the beam, they start to influence and nudge each other too. So if there's a clock that's greatly out of sync with the others, over time those little nudges get it to line up. So after discovering all this, we took those 4 clocks and this time attached them all to a beam, which was attached to the wall with a little bit of wiggle built in. And this time after 4 days, nothing happened, which once again was a clue, not a failure. Because it turns out for this to actually work with pendulum clocks, you need a very precise ratio of clock to pendulum mass, like this setup here. So while I couldn't get my hands on the perfect pendulum clock, here's another way to observe the same
should
phenomenon
delete,
with 140 pendulums all sitting on a
plants.
board that can freely wiggle back and forth. All right, let's give it a shot. Little help here.
You should delete walls.
This is truly one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's like
They
a bunch
look
of
like Chinese
stormtroopers.
army.
And just to give you a sense of how quickly they sync up, here's an uninterrupted take so you can see for yourself as the chaos turns to order in less than a minute.
Нази режим.
So as you can see, even though we started them totally random, in less than a minute, those nudges do in fact influence each other till they're all swinging together, just like the clocks 400 years ago in the mathematician's house. Coming in at number 4, have you ever noticed every time you see a full moon, it always looks the same? In other words, it's the same side, even in pictures. Well, what about the other side? Well, it turns out we don't see the other side because the
Because
moon
it's
is
rotating
rotating
with our Earth at
perfectly
the same
in sync
time.
with
Yes.
its orbit around the Earth. So we only ever see the googly eyes. But that's wild. Like, what are the chances that those would sync up perfectly? Well, we call this tidal locking. While it seems unlikely, you see this with pretty much all the other
His model is not right because our Earth also rotating.
planets and
vectors.
their moons in our solar system too. And this simple demo will give us the right mental model. If the moon was perfectly spherical and balanced, it would spin like this, and one side wouldn't be more likely to line up with Earth than the other. But the moon's not perfectly spherical. Over time, that constant pull of Earth's gravity has caused it to be sort of slightly oblong, which we've sort of exaggerated a little bit here. But now you'll see, since the center of gravity of our moon doesn't exactly line up with the axis by which it rotates, like
It's
it was
interesting,
here,
but better
now,
will
no matter
continue
how
watch
I spin
Sayuki.
it always happens to be that the heavy side
Bro,
of the moon
don't be in
always
the
face
past.
the strongest source of gravity, which just so happens to be the center of the Earth. Well, guess what? Out in space, the actual moon's nearest source of gravity is still the center of the Earth, which means that the real moon will always have the same side pulled towards us, just like with our model. And that means every living thing on this planet that has ever looked up at the moon has always seen that same familiar face. And that will
It will
never
be
change.
cooler
Now,
to
before
have
we get to
rotating
the last
moon.
3, including answering how hot air balloons steer, if you're like me and you love the feeling of that aha moment when you learn something
But cause moon never moving, maybe in future we will be able to make a lift from Earth to the moon.
new, then I got great news for you, because packaging up that moment is why I created Crunch Labs. And now I'm on top of a train to learn once and times more. And now I'm on top of a train to learn once and for all why do you land in the same spot you jump inside the train, but not
To be on the
to
top
jump
of the
on
train
top
is
of the
easy
train.
way to die.
We'll get to the jump in a second, but first let's see if we can glean any clues from this small scale test with 2 Lego guys, one inside and one on top of the train. But
One on top will
there's
fly
one.
away.
Now in a moment, I'm gonna